Alright, folks, it is that time of year again, time for the 2016-2017 NFL playoffs. I'm going to try to do this very quickly. I know in years past I've brought out these really long, meandering formulas where I factor in like offensive yards per game and time of possession. This year we're not doing that. We're just going back to basics. We're just going to look at these things just very, very superficially and subjectively and just going with our gut instinct and seeing if that works better for us than it did in 2016. Because nowadays, we don't need science, especially statistics. We know that's a bunch of bunk now. All right, so our first game, we're going to do the AFC games first. Looks like we're going to have ourselves, and my goodness, I can't find my pen. Okay, here we go. Got it. Oakland at Houston. Story here is pretty obvious. If Derek Carr was still playing for Oakland, I would have them making it all the way to the AFC title game, maybe even the Super Bowl. Derek Carr, he's hurt. That means we've got Connor Cook playing quarterback, who's not really that good, but he's still better than Matt McGloin from what we saw against the Broncos. So the question you got to have there is, considering the Raiders' offensive pieces, your Amari Cooper and your Michael Crabtree, and your really good run game, and your defense, which is pretty bad but can get good down the stretch, versus Houston when they've got a guy named Savage as quarterback, not really good run game to speak of whatsoever, and a defense which, while better than the Raiders overall, just doesn't really have that explosiveness they used to. All right, the smart money's on Houston, but you know what? We like to roll the dice. We're gamblers, and I actually do think that the Raiders can win this one. I think it's going to be very close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout win. It's going to come down to the wire, but I think the Raiders end up winning this one. I think they get it by a score of 27-23, and that's enough to get them into the second round. Big upset win there to begin the playoffs. Miami against Pittsburgh. This is the Sunday game. Pittsburgh, they won the division like 2 weeks ago. They're on a huge win streak right now. The Dolphins had their win streak snapped with a bad loss against the Patriots. So this is an interesting matchup. I know Miami actually did play Pittsburgh earlier in the year, and that was without Ben Roethlisberger, and the Dolphins just stomped them like 30-15. But now they got Big Ben. They got all their offensive pieces. Defense, that's going to be the big variable here. I think Miami might slightly be better on paper, but I just think the explosiveness of Pittsburgh is going to cover up the fact that the Dolphins, outside of Jay Yaje, they don't have Ryan Tannehill playing for them. And even if he was, I still listen to Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh wins it pretty easily. I think they're going to win it by a score of 35-21. All right, so that sets up our next game. Obviously, the lowest seed goes to play the highest seed, so that's going to be New England. Oh my goodness. New England and Oakland, the middle of January. Haven't we heard that one before? And Pittsburgh ends up going to Kansas City. Alright, now let's take a look at our NFC games. Green Bay at the Giants. Green Bay won the division on Sunday night. Giants are locked in the 5th seed. They have like a 12-4, 11-5 record, which is better than I think all but 2 of the teams in the NFC this year. So how about that? All right, Packers on a huge win streak. Probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. But the Giants, they've been playing very well down the stretch. Eli Manning, he's been playing one of his best performances since like 2012. You got Odell Beckham in the backfield. You got a defense which is warming up. You got a pretty solid run game. It's going to be in Green Bay, but you know what? I'm going to go with the Giants to win. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. But I think there's going to be enough turnovers there to go the G-Men's way to give them the advantage. I got them winning 24-16. Just going with the Giants. Detroit against Seattle. Interesting matchup here. Seattle's hosting Detroit. Detroit kind of sneaking their way in the playoffs. They've lost 2 pretty bad games in a row. I think they're limping in here. You got to admire what Matt Stafford did with really lackluster talent to get this far. But yeah, this is Seattle games to win. I think they win it by a score of 30-14. Should be a pretty easy win there for Seattle. So, of course, that means lowest seed plays highest seed. Who is the highest remaining seed? New York Giants playing Dallas. Oh, goodness. Does that not sound interesting? And Atlanta's going to be playing Seattle. And all these matchups, I think, are very, very interesting. All of these, with the exception of New England against Oakland, is actually a rematch from earlier this year. So that should be fun. All right, we'll start with the NFC this time around. Dallas against the Giants. Dallas, they have 3 losses this year. 2 are to the Giants. So I think what do the Giants do? They keep the pressure down, and they're able to kind of prevent the run game. They can prevent the run game from setting up the pass game, and I think it worked twice before in the regular season. It's going to work one more time in the postseason. I think Dallas goes in there, and they get beat. It's going to be a very close game. I got the Giants winning 14-10, but you know what? That's enough to get them in. And they advance to the NFC Championship for what is like the third or fourth time over the last 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 years? Something like that. All right, Atlanta at Seattle. Now, if you remember earlier in the season, this was the game where Atlanta had that really horrible call against Seattle, which negated a touchdown, or I think it gave Seattle a touchdown, my bad. So Atlanta's looking for revenge. They're going to have dome field advantage. Tough one. Very, very tough one to pick. I want to go with Atlanta. I think it's going to be very close, maybe the closest game in the entire playoff field. But at the end of the day, I just think Seattle, you know what? They've got that defense, and we know that when the Falcons get the pressure on them and Matt Rice starts throwing interceptions and they can't get the run game going, bad things happen. Atlanta's got a great offense, but I think Seattle has a better defense. They win it 25-23. So our NFC Championship title game is set. It's going to be high seed is Seattle. The lowest remaining seed, New York Giants. All right, AFC. Let's go up. Like I said, if the Raiders had Derek Carr, if he was playing, I would give the Raiders the advantage. I think they could pull off the upset. They don't have Derek Carr. They've got Connor Cook. They've got a lot of very good players. Amari Cooper's great. They have a really great trifecta of running backs with Murray and Washington and Richard. They've got a good defense. I mean, theoretically, except for when they give up 4,000 yards, which they did against the Broncos. So, I mean, even with Khalil Mack and Bruce Irving, and they got some good guys in the backfield, their defense still leaves a lot to be admired. They get confused and they get beat on long passes a lot. Tom Brady, he throws long passes. That's all he does. That's his milieu. They're really, really good at that. The Raiders are very, very bad at stopping that. I hate to say it, but I think we all know how this is going to end up. I think the Patriots win this one 42-21 in what should be a blowout. But the Raiders hang in there, you know. Hopefully, I want to be closer. I want there to be like some crazy Tuck Rule thing to happen because, you know, I'm a Raiders homer. But even then, just looking on paper, you know, statistics, just going against all empirical wisdom, I got to give the Patriots a win here. Just, I can't. I have to be absolutely insane to not do that. All right, Kansas City against Pittsburgh. Kansas City played Pittsburgh earlier in the year, and the Pittsburgh Steelers lit them up. I know it's going to be in KC, and KC this time of year is like negative 40 degrees. But you know what? I think it's all about defense. You can't get the ball running. What's going to hurt Pittsburgh's offense is going to hurt Kansas City's offense just as much. And that's when I think, but Pittsburgh's offense is better overall. That's the thing. You know, I'll take a 80% Pittsburgh Steelers offense over 80% Kansas City offense any day of the week. I think Pittsburgh, it's not going to be a blowout like last time, but I think it will be pretty facile. I think they go in there, they win it 28-10. Don't expect a lot of field goals in this one. So that sets up our AFC Championship game. We're going to have, who we got? We got New England top seed and Pittsburgh as the number 2 team. So yeah, we kind of expected this. New England against Pittsburgh, classic AFC Championship game. Tom Brady, Big Ben. I'm going to go with the Patriots to win this one. I'm trying to figure out what exactly the margin will be. It's just, I don't know. The defense for the Patriots is way better than the defense for the Steelers. I think that goes without question. As far as aerial dynamism, I mean, Steelers have a better run game, but Tom Brady, he can just put points with so many players with the tight ends, receiving core. I mean, you can argue the Steelers might have a better receiving core overall, but I just think Brady can do more with less. He's been doing that for 10 years now. I think the Patriots win this one. It's going to be score, I'm going to go with 30-17. So kind of close, but not really. Seattle against the Giants. It's going to be at the Temple of Boom. Giants visiting. I think first verse, same as the second. I think they do what they did against Green Bay, what they did against the Cowboys. It's all about defense. Now, Seattle has one of the best defenses in the league. But it comes down to Russell Wilson. Will he screw up? And I think in this game he's going to throw a couple interceptions, maybe 2, maybe even 3. And I think the turnover is going to be the key here. It's going to be low scoring, but I think that will be enough. And that gives the Giants the ticket to the Super Bowl one more time. So that means whether you want it to happen or not, our Super Bowl 51 matchup, it's a rematch. It's actually a rematch of a rematch. New England against the New York Giants. And I think we all know what's going to happen here. Patriots dominate. They go in there. They're out there just busting up with shots to the tight end. Going out there with a very steady run game. But then the Giants come in there and they beat them at their own game. They've got a more talented receiving crew. It's going to be close. I think it'll come down to the wire. But I think Odell Beckham, he goes in there in the backfield and he gets a crazy catch. And that will be the decider. I've got the Giants winning Super Bowl 51 by a score 24-21. So there you go. Those are my picks for Super Bowl 51, the entire NFL playoff field. You know, I'm a Raiders fan. Hopefully, I think they go further, but just going by basic math and statistics and what we've seen all year round, playing it safe, conservatively, and just using all that computational stuff, this is my pick. Going with the Giants over the Patriots, 24-21. That's your Super Bowl 51 matchup right there, folks.